welcome back to Cardiff City TV. Tommy over the wall and into the goal! Cut back to Rolls, and Rolls fires home. Good evening, welcome back to Cardiff City TV. Well, what a difference 4 days and 3 points make to a camp. There was doom and gloom around this place just midweek here on an early restart, 6 p.m. on a Friday night, kick-off against Bristol City. Well, we're all smiles again, John. Neil Harris laid down a gauntlet to his squad in midweek. He demanded an improvement and a response, and it's fair to say he got exactly that.
He did. All smiles apart from the weather. Ash, it's freezing. That's where the big coats come out.
Badly.
You have misjudged this. But no, everything around Cardiff City Stadium just does feel a little bit better. It was a performance that... and it's only one performance at the moment. Of course, tonight is about consistency and building on that. But it's a performance that we knew Cardiff City were capable of. It's a performance they needed just to lift the mood and also send out a sign to the rest of the division that Cardiff can compete in the upper echelon. So, yes, very, very positive. And Neil Harris didn't necessarily pick out individuals. I thought there were certain players, as I've discussed with you, that were excellent. But collectively as a team, the Bluebirds were very good. But that doesn't just solve the problem now. The Bluebirds need to go on. It's a Severnside Derby tonight against a team which, well, really sort of had a similar kind of week. A poor run of form, a morale boosting win during the week. They're ready to kick on as well. So for one team tonight, it could be one step forward. For the other team, it could be one step back. Let's hope for the Bluebirds it's one step forward.
And you made the point there, John, we're going to hear from Neil Harris's midweek press conference in a little bit. He didn't want to pick out individuals, really. He was pushed on it by the press, as he always is, and he did talk about it. Unfortunately, he's not going to leave us a great deal to talk about if we don't, so we will talk about individuals in a little bit. But what we can say is it was maybe not a 90-minute team performance, because it didn't have to be, because there was a lull towards the end, but from front to back, from right to left, it was the best all-round team performance of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. You and I were on different commentary streams, but I'm sure you said in yours, we said in ours about the game management side of things. I thought it was the nearest or closest to a 90-minute performance. I think you're absolutely right. Cardiff managed the game very well in the second half. They scored at good times throughout the night. And you know, how many times have we stood here this season, Ash, and talked about first goal and Cardiff not getting it. Just the collective kind of relief when Cardiff scored an early first goal during the week, and they really just built from there, and I think they managed the game very well. The second half might have been a little bit lower intensity than the first half, but I thought Cardiff were very, very professional in what they did. They got the clean sheet. It was nothing but positives for me out the game in midweek.
Third game in 7 days for Cardiff this evening, and as a result there is a change to the starting lineup. Neil Harris has made one. Shea Ojo comes back in. He's replaced Robert Glatzel, who was paired with Kiefer Moore in midweek. He drops to the bench, so it looks like being a switch again to the 4-2-3-1 formation that we've played for most of the season, and a three of Ojo, Harry Wilson and Junior Hoylett as the attacking trio behind lone striker Kiefer Moore. Moore and Glatzel worked very well together from the start in midweek, but it looks like, not to jump the gun a little, it looks like Bristol have switched from their three-man defence. So reading the cards a little bit, reading the tea leaves a little bit, probably the right move to go away from that strike pairing.
I think so. You know, when you do your research and then a team throws the curveball, it's always great. But we were expecting the three-man centre half of lineup for Bristol City, and what I really liked on Tuesday night, having two strikers as opposed to one, you're keeping three centre halves busier, you're giving them more problems, you're drawing them out of position. So it's not necessarily what I liked about Glatzel. It wasn't necessarily him getting the ball, but a run out wide would open up space between the centre halves, allowing a Junior Hoylett or a Harry Wilson to come into that space. So if Bristol City had lined up with a three tonight, I would have liked to have gone with the two up top, as they've not, and it looks like a flat back four and an extra body in midfield. Yeah, from you know, layman's standpoint, I think Neil Harris has made the right choice to have Harry Wilson perhaps playing as a 10, but a little bit closer to Rolls and Pack, so Cardiff can match up and win that midfield battle.
Well, let's back our manager's trend then and pick out individuals, because you just mentioned Harry Wilson. He was absolutely electric in midweek.
He was, and I spoke to you after the game, you know, myself and Tom on the audio commentary. What we said about him a lot was he thinks the game more quickly than most players at this level. And what he does, and what I like, he forces his Cardiff City teammates to think a little bit quicker as well. So the pace of the game is quicker. He wants to take quick free kicks. He wants to run off the shoulder. He's demanding through balls. Marlon Pack is enjoying playing with him. Marlon Pack, Neil Harris talked about his range of passing. Unfortunately, Harry Wilson had to sit out a few games with injury, but every time I've seen Marlon Pack and Harry Wilson on the field, I just think Pack's playing with a big smile on his face because he can make that pass. He is a forward-thinking player. His range of passing is good, and Wilson's just given him a target. And yeah, I think Harry Wilson, what he does on the ball is superb, but collectively, or really as a unit for Cardiff City, he improves the team because he makes us play at a quicker pace.
And let's talk about the man on the other flank, arguably Junior Hoylett's best individual performance since the promotion campaign.
It was. Well, he carried on from that second half at QPR. There weren't many bright spots about the QPR game. Junior Hoylett's performance in the second half when he came on as sub was one of them. Again, I think he benefited from the two up front because Junior Hoylett could take a step off and he had more room to play in. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out tonight. But I thought Hoylett was great, cutting inside. It's a weird one. We all know what he's going to do. We all know what he's going to do. He's going to come back inside and look to deliver. But he does it every time. And what was great about Tuesday, his quality into the box was good. And if that quality can be maintained, Kiefer Moore is going to start enjoying his time in a Cardiff City shirt.
Sorry, I lost you briefly for a second. Somebody walked past with a pizza. I got really
I did
distracted.
Get the smell. No,
yeah.
That's fine. That's fine.
I smelt it first and then I saw it. Yeah.
Yes.
So, as ever, Neil Harris, we've spoken about his response and how happy he was. He spoke to the press in midweek and he reflected on that response from his players. He was very pleased and spoke about the strange atmosphere that's probably going to face his team here this evening in what's usually a fierce local derby.
I think they've been playing a different system under Dean. Couple of new faces in, but similar personnel. I think Lee had a good squad of players, and they've got a big squad of players who invested heavily in their squad. Had a great start to the season, first 6 games or 5 games. It's a local derby. It's going to be a challenge. I think it'll be a physical encounter in as much as the modern day allows it. Really too fussed what Bristol City are doing. It's about Cardiff City and what my team does tomorrow. It's not going to be the same without the fans. The fans make these games. It's important to their football clubs. It's important to us as a group. It's important to me personally to know the importance of the game. But it's the fans that make the local derbies. And neither club having their fans at the game, detract something from it. What doesn't change is our desire to win and carry on our momentum from Tuesday, and the fact that we want our fans that are suffering at the moment from being away from the stadium to have the bragging rights. I was really pleased because Bobby's really been struggling with we've been under the weather, nothing COVID related, and we had to bring him off because he was shattered from the involvement he had. But the combination that I saw was really pleasing. And I think it's something we can certainly use moving forward as a pair. That's the qualities that I talk about when people are fit and healthy and available, that we have to be able to change combinations. And it was good to see Bobby and Kiefer play so well together. Good to see Harry step into that 10 position and perform and score again. Opportunity to be able to not start Shea Ojo, then bring him on to play Josh Murphy at QPR, Gavin White to get some involvement, and again back to not even having Lee Tomlin available. So having those options to be able to rotate the team and pick personnel for certain games in playing against different systems is vital for us. And the importance is keeping players fit and healthy. It's never changed. Championship never changed. Yeah, you'll get one crazy result. You get one a month where you might get a 5-0 or a 5-1, a 6-1, something like that. But the Championship doesn't change. It doesn't matter what teams are in the Championship. I don't buy into the fact, it's wide open and anyone can do this. It's big teams that will move away. It happens every year. I'm not interested in what the rest of the Championship's doing. It's about us being better. And it's not going to change. The Championship will be like that forever. Bottom will be top, as we saw Coventry beating Reading the other day. That those scenarios won't change in the Championship.
Neil Harris there, talking just yesterday to the assembled press via Zoom about what he expects from this clash tonight with Bristol City. Talked a little bit about formation, as you heard, but also talked about the lack of atmosphere. Now, Cardiff were probably the team that adapted to that lack of fans, lack of atmosphere, better than anyone after the restart. Our form was superb. We were especially good at absorbing that at Ashton Gate in the previous derby. First taste of this kind of weird lack of atmosphere, though, at the Cardiff City Stadium tonight, because this is usually a pretty fierce rivalry, one that, because of the lack of fixtures between us and Swansea for years, overtook that.
It did. You know, you always look west. The Swansea is the big rivalry. This isn't far behind by any stretch of the imagination, and it would be packed. You know, I was looking at Dean Holden's press conference saying about how he wishes that there was 2,000 odd Bristol fans, you know, who'd left work at lunchtime today to stand behind the goal at the away end and just make it a raucous atmosphere. I've honestly given up guessing, you know, what this lack of fans will do. It seems to favour the away team. Cardiff were very good at Ashton Gate playing with it. Will Bristol City look to you know, continue that trend and for their fans watching on at home, look to make an impression in enemy territory? I don't know, but for Cardiff City, I just want them to start with the intensity they started with on Tuesday night. That's a little more difficult at home when you don't have that crowd roaring you on. Cardiff, for the first time this season, really generated themselves or manufactured it themselves on Tuesday night, and they need to start on the front foot tonight, because this Bristol City side, yeah, they're missing a lot of key players, but they're still a quality outfit, and they're playing with confidence after a good midweek win, and if they win tonight, you know, temporarily at least perhaps, but they can go second, and they're there for a reason. They're a good team in this division, and I expect a toe-to-toe encounter tonight.
Let's talk about the team selection then a little bit for Bristol City. They started the season in incredible form, 4 wins straight off the bat, new manager, everything going well, and then that midweek win against Huddersfield alleviated a run of 5 games without a win. So injuries are really starting to play their part. They've deviated, it seems, from that 3-man defence for the first time this season. So 2 changes. Tommy Rowe, who filled in on the left side of that back 3 in midweek, he drops out, as does veteran Chris Brunt. In comes the youngster Antoine Semenyo, and Jamie Patterson has probably been their best player on the season. So it's an intriguing selection, to say the least. It could be 4-3-3. It could equally be a diamond in there.
It could. It sounds like there was an in-game change by Dean Holden on Tuesday night, which he got a lot of praise for, because probably like Neil Harris, he was feeling the pressure of expectations, particularly after the good start they'd had, and it had been a downward turn for them, and he made an in-game change on Tuesday night, changed the formation. Think perhaps 4-3-3 when they have the ball, you know, maybe 4-5-1 when they don't have the ball, to be a little bit more solid. They have been decimated by injuries, particularly in the centre half position, but they've still got some good experienced pros in there. Patterson, you mentioned, you know, Chris Martin, all of a sudden you think his career might be over, or he's on a downward turn, he moves clubs and then he starts scoring goals for fun again. So no, they come here with the spirits lifted from their midweek win. Wonder how they'll play, whether they'll try and nullify Cardiff City first and play on the break and look to turn over possession in Cardiff's final third and pounce on any mistakes. We'll see. That's what certain teams have done here, or whether they look to start on the front foot. But again, I go back to the fact it's about Cardiff City and how they start. They started with intensity on Tuesday night, and they went on to dominate the game.
It wouldn't be fair of us to not touch on the injury. So no Andreas Weimann, he looks like he's done for the season. Alfie Mawson and Nathan Baker, probably not going to see him either of them this side of Christmas. Stephen Sessignon, not going to see him for a little while. Baconson, who'd started so well in central midfield, he's not available. Neither are Joe Williams and Liam Walsh, who haven't played yet this season in that areas, and now Famara Diédhiou with that positive COVID test in the lead up to this game as well. So they are really starved of options. The one thing that's not going to change, though, seemingly, despite this change in formation, is that they're only operating with one recognised central midfielder. That's going to be Adam Naj in there this evening. They've gone with the 3-5-2 all season with one central midfielder, and then Patterson and Weimann, and more latterly Patterson and O'Dowda playing as central midfielders, as ball runners alongside him. Marlon Pack and Joe Rolls were exceptional in midweek. They won the midfield battle for Cardiff to really give them a foundation. they'd fancy their chances, wouldn't they?
I would assume so. In the local press again, I see that O'Dowda is getting rave reviews for just the energy and as you say, the legs he's brought to that midfield. Normally used to playing a little bit wider, but playing in that central midfield, he has been, a little bit of a dog of war there in terms of winning the ball back for Bristol City and protecting the back four. But yeah, Joe Rawls and Marlon Pack, I thought, were absolutely sublime on Tuesday night. Probably the two best footballing midfielders, and that's with the greatest respect to Will Vokes. Hostess for courses, Will Vokes is going to be so important for Cardiff City at stages this season, particularly away from home, particularly when we need to press the ball, etc. But if Cardiff have the ball, yeah, I want Joe Rawls and Marlon Pack in the middle of the park. And again, I pivot back to that Pack-Wilson dynamic, which I think is forming. Hopefully not a commentator's curse tonight, but I do think Marlon Pack is enjoying playing with Harry Wilson, and if Marlon Pack and Joe Rawls can win that midfield battle, get on the ball tonight and find Harry Wilson, Shea Ojo and Junior Hoylett in good areas, yeah, I think Cardiff City hopefully will have the edge.
You and I were disappointed in midweek with what we saw from Barnsley, from a broadcast point of view, not as Cardiff fans. We were effusive in our praise of Barnsley before the game. I'm just a little bit worried now that we haven't praised Bristol City enough this evening to put the same curse on them. So let's look at the strike partnership. You've mentioned them: Naki Wells, Chris Martin, wily, canny operators at this level. If it's going to be a threesome, Semenyo's looked bright in the last few games, but you certainly expect them to bring more threat than the Tykes offered in midweek.
Absolutely. I saw Semenyo a couple of times when he was associated with Newport, full of energy, really athletic, powerful, wants to get at centre half. So, he could be the wild card tonight. Chris Martin and Naki Wells, I've touched on Chris Martin. Naki Wells is always a player, again, one of those players you think, oh, might Cardiff go for him? Because I do like him at this level as a goal scorer when he was at Bradford and then came up with Huddersfield. Plays with a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and I like that with a striker. A little bit of ego. He'll work for the team, but he wants to be the main man. And I've always liked that about him. And he's someone who can be a game breaker. And Chris Martin, I think, will provide a good platform for the other two to feed off. So Sean Morrison and Curtis Nelson. And Curtis Nelson said it in his interview that maybe they were well organised but had an easier evening on Tuesday, less of a physical battle than in other games. I think Sean Morrison and Curtis Nelson will have to be on their mettle this evening. Yeah,
Naki Wells, 20 goals, all competitions last season across Queen's Park Rangers and Bristol City, and of course got that New Year's Day hat-trick against Cardiff City at Loftus Road. Now, we've mentioned him a couple of times already. Marlon Pack was on press duty yesterday, of course a former Bristol City player, and he spoke about hoping to get one over his former friends.
I love my time at Bristol City. They were great to me there, and I'll always have an affiliation with them. But I'm desperate to beat them. Of course I am. To do that, if we do that, it wouldn't have been such a bad start for us. We'll look at the points tally and we'll be there or thereabouts. And in a start of the season where for us, it's probably been tough. I think we've had less of a turnaround compared to other teams. So big job at hand tomorrow night, and it's one that us and the boys and everyone involved are desperate to win. We've not been too far away, we're going to be completely honest, but at times we've lacked that little bit. I don't know whether it's cutting edge or whatever it is, but we've definitely been in. The difference I think a little bit is that we could have won easily, every game, and potentially we could have lost them. It's one of those, and I think if we can just turn a couple of those draws into wins, and then we'll be looking at a different picture. But you're right, I think Friday's key from that sense, where if we can get a win, then we'll be in a relatively good position with a decent break, and then one for the lads to recharge and go again, which is going to be another busy period come November and the Christmas period. I've always said it, we've got especially my position, we've got lads that are very capable at this level, like myself, Will, Rousey and Leo. It's competition for places. So I think, maybe last year, I started quite well, and I had my injuries and I come straight back in. So I played a lot of games after quite a big injury, which may coincide with a dip in form catching up with me. But, I've always been one that will always get my head down if I'm out the team and trying to be a team player and cheer the team up, when I'm not involved. So I've always got confidence in my ability. But like I said, that I think those competition for places definitely keeps you on your toes, because, if you don't perform one week, there's someone else going to come in and take the shirt. So hopefully, form continues, from a personal perspective and from the team, because that's what will hopefully get us climbing up that table. Yeah, I think you definitely can hear him a bit more when the tackles go in. The echo in the stadium. Yeah, it's one of those. I think you want to kind of keep the fans on the edge of their seat, even if it's on the TV. And I know that sometimes we probably don't do that enough. We're going to try and continue that intensity and kind of tempo that we played with on Tuesday night. And I think that is kind of the standard for us, maybe to use that performance as the pinnacle for where we want to be. And like I said, if we can kind of replicate that on a regular basis, then hopefully the results will be more of a positive one.
Good turn away from Brian. Square ball to Pilkington on his right foot. What a goal! Anthony Pilkington from 25 yards has stunned Ashton Gate. Bristol City 2, Cardiff City 3.
welcome back to Cardiff City TV.
Tomlin over the wall and into the goal! Cut back to Rolls, and Rolls fires home.
Bristol City and the home team, the Bluebirds, Cardiff City.
Well done. Good evening, welcome to Cardiff City TV from a cold Cardiff City Stadium here in the Welsh capital for the most unusual of Severnside derbies that we are ever likely to see here at the home of the Bluebirds. The two sides, as you can see, have taken to the field tonight, and the two captains are holding wreaths in commemoration, obviously, ahead of the Remembrance Day observations across this weekend and ahead of Wednesday the 11th. Neil Harris takes to the touchline as well. Big week for the manager. He said he was so delighted to see the response on Tuesday night against Barnsley after what happened last weekend at QPR. Really felt that things had changed for the better, and obviously looking to take that on into this evening's game ahead of the international break, which is to come. Bristol City are depleted in terms of injuries, it must be said.